Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the Terminator on the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. This is simply, it's a tough game, but it's a really good game as well. There's no two ways about it. They put a considerable amount of effort into this game, not only in the look and feel of the game, but also with the music as well, to make it as genuine to the subject matter as possible. Obviously, it's not, a complete scene by scene copy of the film. There's a lot of license taken here. For example, when you start out, you play the part of Kyle Reese, and you play the part where you actually get to the time machine thing at Skynet, and so it sort of covers a bit that bits that you don't see in the film. But as you can see from the graphics, and you can see from the overall style of the game, it is very, very faithful to the actual subject matter of the films itself. It would have been very easy, I suppose, for Probe, who developed this game, to have messed it up. I mean, when you look at lots of movie tie-ins today and how they're rushed and how they're messed up, there's perhaps lessons to be learned about how to actually do it from these older games. I mean, the game of the Terminator came out considerably after the film. I mean, it's probably something like 7, 8, 9 years after the film. And there's a lesson to be learnt there, because it did work out to be a far more entertaining, interesting, and playable game. It wasn't something that was clearly rushed. I hate it when you get the potential for a really good movie tie-in, and the game's clearly been rushed to coincide with the movie, and they pretty much end up being nothing to do with the film whatsoever. I mean, this happens an awful lot these days, because the development of films is under lock and key pretty much till the film launches. If the game comes out in a close proximity to when the film actually launches itself, then you can guarantee that the game has very little to do with the film, and it's more of a spin-off that just shares the film's title, and that's always disappointing. It's always, to me, a complete waste of a license, and that happens so many times, especially nowadays, where it seems to be that they have to make the game come out to coincide with the cinematic release of the movie, and you just end up with something that's rushed, unplayable, a mess, not particularly entertaining whatsoever. And I don't understand that philosophy. I would much rather wait a couple of years to play a decent version of it than something that, as I say, has clearly been rushed and is clearly some sort of generic nonsense. Always seems ridiculous to me. But anyway, going back to this game, yeah, it's developed by Probe, and they did the Alien 3 game, and you can probably see there's some similarities in terms of the gameplay and graphical style to Alien 3. Obviously, you're not running around here rescuing hostages. You're sort of attacking Skynet, but it shares a lot in common. The platform elements and so on and so forth. The animation of the main characters quite similar as well. But there are enough differences to make it, not just a complete cop-out version of of the Terminator. You know, it's not like they just went out there and said, oh, we'll just redress Alien 3, or with Alien 3 they'll redress the Terminator. I can't remember which game came out first now. I think they were relatively close together in their release days. But you know, there's a lot of good things in here. There isn't that many levels, that has to be said. It's not a game that goes on and on and on for hours and hours and hours, but it is tough. It is still a tough game. What's here is good, and I think it has almost a perfect balance in that respect. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's still entertaining and playable enough to give you a decent challenge. And as I say, with so many games, they can often outstay the welcome as well. And what start out to be good games end up being a bit of a marathon slog, and you're wondering, well, why am I playing this? Why is the game still going on? It doesn't do that. When you get further into the game, it does take some elements that were in the movie. For example, you'll have a bit where you are in the Tech Noir nightclub rescuing Sarah Connor, and you've got the Terminator who's there, and he's coming after you, and so on. And it's really cool, as I say. They did pay a considerable amount of attention to subject matter, and that's always a nice little benefit when you've got games like this. Yeah, I really enjoy playing this. I had this on the Mega Drive when it first came out, and it was nice to go back and be able to play it. It was nice to be able to go back and experience the game again. I'd forgotten really just how much I enjoyed it, and how much of a challenge it was as well. I got, as you saw earlier on in the video, I got absolutely battered very, very early on, and you know, I had to go back and rethink my strategy, so to speak. In other words, lower the difficulty level down a little bit. I think I was being a bit too ambitious, going back to the game with the difficulty level that I had. So as you can see here, you basically kind of blow up Skynet, which I'm sure was a lot easier in the game than it was in the films. Although we've never actually seen that yet in the film as such. We've always sort of seen the before and after. And now you get the timer where you've got to try and get out of the base. Again, you know, it's pretty easy, and then you just sort of run into the time machine thing. So yeah, that's the first level. I say it can get pretty tough if you don't know what you're doing, and it's certainly pretty tough on the higher difficulty settings as well. I really liked the Terminator films. I remember seeing the original probably not long after it come out. I think it was sort of in the mid-80s when I saw it, and to me it was so original, and it was also quite frightening as well. I mean, you can nowadays it's not so much frightening when you watch it, because you know, it's more like of a science fiction thriller adventure type film. But I think the concept of an unstoppable machine coming after you, and you don't, you know, for something that you haven't yet done, I mean, you've got no idea why it's coming after you, and it's unstoppable, and it's, you know, it's for something that you've done, or sorry, you've yet to do. I think that's a pretty scary concept, and James Cameron, you know, sort of did a cracking job of that. He he really put that over. I mean, it's interesting that the original concept was that the Terminator was, you know, just anybody. It was like, you know, a nondescript person could just jump out of a crowd of people and kill you for no reason whatsoever. And obviously that changed when they cast Arnie in the role, because I mean, Arnie is many things, but he does stand out in a crowd of people. But the concept of it was still really good, and it still worked. I mean, it would have been I think they kind of went down the route of the original concept in Terminator 2 with Robert Patrick as the bad guy. You know, he wasn't sort of built like a battle tank, so to speak, but he still worked in that, you know, you've got the big scary man coming after you. That's kind of how it changed. And, you know, Arnie had gone from playing Conan into playing the Terminator, and it was quite interesting to see that different role that he took to. And although for a long time most people will probably think that, well, I mean, a lot of people always consider Arnie's main role of the Terminator being his definitive moment, and quite rightly so. It's incredible to think that, you know, he played technically one of cinema's iconic bad guys. He made such a career out of playing heroes all the time. So to actually be cast as this iconic baddie, it's kind of funny to look back and to see that, you know, it was very much a left turn in his career quite early on, and it was a great decision, I think, by James Cameron to cast him as the Terminator, because originally I think he was going to go with Lance Henriksen, and that would have been interesting too. But I think that the big guy coming after you, the big scary man coming after you, works really well. Anyway, I'm rambling on there, and I'm losing the track of what it is I'm supposed to be talking about, which is this game. So yeah, I mean, as I say, it does take scenes, some of the more memorable scenes as well from the movie, and construct levels around that. Like this here now is when, you know, the Terminator attacks the police station, and they even include that little bit there where he drives his car. All he needed, they should have had him saying out, you know, the bit where he says, "I'll be back." That should have been in that. That's the only thing missing there. But yeah, the interesting thing as well with these games is that you shoot the police officers with a shotgun and they don't die. They just sort of fall over and then they get back up again. But if you shoot the punks throwing fireballs at you, they stay down dead. It's obviously a politically correct shotgun that you're wielding. I find that kind of quite amusing. There was, you know, that sort of, the video games still had a moral core back in them days. You know, the police were still viewed as being the force of good, and therefore you can't go around blowing them away. You can only stun them with a shotgun. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my review of the Terminator on the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. Thank you for watching this video and enjoying my little ramble as well, and please stay tuned for more to come.